Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Postgame Show. The final score 23-20. The Ravens win. And, I always tell you what's on the top of my mind. Neither of these teams is worth a shit. Just telling you the honest truth. Both teams are not good. All right? Not good at all. Lamar Jackson is hurt in his hip, and he's overrated. Jacoby Brissett has the longest throwing motion since Luis Tiant, and quite honestly, doesn't get rid of the ball or see fast enough and see the field very well. And hi, Double P, thanks for joining us, along with Tony the Calf on the panel so far. And it isn't a matter of sour grapes. I mean, the Ravens aren't very good. They were 3-3 coming into the game. I mean, that's the bottom line. And we're going to bring Derek Frisbee. Hi, Derek. How you doing?
Oh, well.
Oh, you're doing like the rest of us are.
Hey, it could be worse. You know what? It's funny for this game. Late night last night, got up early this morning, and I fell asleep with the Browns up 7-3 and woke up as Kareem Hunt scored the touchdown there at the end. So at least I missed most of the pain, but, as usual.
Well, I mean, the thing that's really interesting is, and I think by and large, well, if you're the weakest kid in the neighborhood, you get beat up on. And it doesn't make the people who are the bullies right for doing it. It just means they can. And they will. And that's why the old adage was you got to learn how to fight back. And, you have to prove that if you can put it back on the bully will back down. And invariably, the bully will find some other weak sister to literally pound into the ground. Unfortunately for the Cleveland Browns, because of their own history in recent times since 1999, bad ownership, decisions that have obviously really upset a lot of people, including fake fans of the Browns, and who where are the Baker Mayfield jerseys? Where are they? They won without him. They won without him. TJ Walker. They won without him. Where are the 6 jerseys? But when you see people bailing completely like that, the NFL has a responsibility. And that's to make sure that the weak sister remains a weak sister. And it was obviously on display at the end of the game. 2 plays. I will tell you that in my heart, I believe that Amari Cooper pushed off. But I also believe that I watched AJ Green do that for for a decade. That's all he did. He would gain separation using his strength by pushing a man away from him. I would say that I have seen many more egregious examples of a push-off, and they don't call it. Just like the roughing the passer on Brissett after the big play to Jonathan Peoples-Jones. We should have gotten 15 additional yards on that. That was a definite late hit of the quarterback, but they just turned the other way. But the end of the game, you can't even give them an opportunity to get to overtime. And not that I believe with the way, the last extra point snap was a ground ball to the holder.
Skidded.
I mean, this is Mike Prefer at his best, But
there's no confidence Cade York would have hit that. But
I
don't have any confidence that Cade York would have hit that field goal. But that false start penalty was not I don't even know what the fuck they were seeing there.
No, they weren't seeing anything. They just took the chance away, and that was that.
Exactly. He had no chance to begin with. Confidence, no confidence. He didn't even have a chance.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the best way for the league to make sure that they never win is to, and again, it's all the Browns' fault and it's all the fake fans' fault. You bellyached, you complained, and finally You stepped over the ledge and you just said, I hate this team. I hate Deshaun Watson. I hate him because whatever you say. And I am going to start wearing Panthers paraphernalia, which should come with a fucking bong because you're so high. You don't want to be watching that either. And honestly, do I enjoy watching the Browns? No. And being dispassionate, because normally I would just be, really passionate about this. Being dispassionate, Amari Cooper had the man beat by a little, did extend his left arm, caught the ball, walked into the end zone, instant penalty. All right. It's like, I've seen it done 100 times and never get called. But this is the Browns. But the offensive line, them claiming that Dunn was the instigator.
You heard the explanation afterwards too? Kind of justify it with words. Like, come on.
Well, I mean, even Sterator couldn't explain it because there's no explanation. All that the snapper was doing was getting himself reset. And he didn't pick the ball up off the ground. He readjusted his grip to make sure that he didn't roll another ground ball to the holder. That's all. And Calais Campbell just jumped right across. Now, the interesting thing is that they knew something that the announcers kind of whisked by. It was 4th and 5. That would have been within a sneak's distance because there's no way they would have given the Browns a first down anyway.
I thought it was 4th and 6.
Well, it might have been.
Yeah.
But any way you look at it, I'm saying the spot was probably short, and they would have had to have gone for a 4th and 1 or less than 1.
Does Stefanski go for it?
Yes, he would have. Yep, they would have run the same sneak that works every time.
Yep.
And they couldn't afford to let that happen. It had nothing to do with, the kick. They were afraid that the Browns were going to get closer yet and possibly even have a chance to get the ball, for a first down. They just didn't want that to happen. And
Tony,
whenever I see officials, 4 of them, huddling together and listening intently, somebody from up above is telling them what to do.
Exactly.
And I mean, it's just as obvious as that. It's as obvious as Bob Costas loving the Yankees, which, by the way, right here with your fucking Yankees. Right here. Grab me here. Yeah. I mean, the Guardians beat the Yankees, folks. The Yankees had no fight in them. They're done. They're cooked. They're down 3-0, and their bats are silent. And you want to know why? It's because the Guardians took the piss out of them because they exposed the Yankees for what they are, a bunch of overpaid, underperforming athletes.
Hey, Tony, before I forget, Mike Zimmer, do you think the Browns should look at him as a DC? Do you think he would even consider?
He probably would. He's out of work.
Who are you talking about?
Mike Zimmer?
Yeah.
Mike Zimmer, who used to be
we need to bring in an experienced person.
I'd take him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you. I know.
It's interesting. Coach Wilson's asking a question. Will this team have any morale left next week? No, they have none now. Why would they acquire any?
What makes you think this team gives a shit? They don't care.
I mean, this is just what it is. And for all of, I'm not going to, again, the immaturity of the one Baltimore fan is going to get him kicked out of the show. So it's a timeout time. Bye-bye, Joe.
Came back right.
I mean, the fact, if the Ravens were any good whatsoever in a big home game where they're 3-3, they would have played much better than they played today. they would have performed and run the Browns into the ground. The Browns are a team that literally has no morale. They're just out there just trying to do whatever it is they can do. And games are coming down to the end. And when games come down to the end, you either convert or you don't convert. So,
hey, can somebody who is awake tell me how Deion Jones played today?
There was no. He seemed to make a few tackles from behind. He was not in any pressure plays or anything like that.
Okay. Well, that's still an improvement from what we've had.
And this kind of thing. Take your MAGA hat and wipe your ass with it and eat it. Okay? Enough of your USA, I'm a patriot bullshit. What you are is a fucking insurrectionist. Go try to kill somebody with one of your weapons. I've been sucking Lamar off. Well, I mean, do you listen to the program? Oh, my God. Lamar Jackson, first of all, he's got a hip injury. Second of all, he holds on to the ball too long. Third of all, he doesn't have a contract and he's mishandling his contract situation. And fourth of all, they're barely beating and in some instances losing to teams that they should be beating. Yes, he is overrated. Overrated. You want me to spell it for you? Overrated.
That's funny because on the Friday show, I got the score right, not the result right. But I thought we had a chance because the Ravens are kind of built similar to the Browns. They don't have receivers. The coaching's iffy, a running team. And I thought we could have had a chance, but it came down to the wire and we just got fucked by the league.
Well, one thing I can tell you is if you take a look at Justin Tucker and look at the elevation of the ball and take a look at Cade York at the field goals that he made, all right, the extra point that he made, that kind of thing, and look at how much lower the elevation is. And instead of going up at an arc, it's kind of flatter. I mean, I know he had to hit the thing flatter to get it to go further, but I don't believe that that's really the case. I think that Cade York has a big leg. I think that Cade York's having a problem and that, he's kicking line drives. And I will say this, based on the snap that I'm seeing, and they don't show us all the timings of the snap and the hold, but I would believe that Prefer doesn't practice anything with these guys. I'd say that there might be a reason why people come to Cleveland and automatically become less than what they were. And that is true in special teams. It's just the way it is. And
by the way, the Browns need a new left tackle. I'm sick and tired of watching Jedrick Wills. He's terrible.
Yeah, there was that little stretch there where everything seemed to go bluey. That's kind of, and we can, and I'm looking at what the fans who are the real fans are in the chat room. The game is on play calling. It's interesting to me. Why did the running game start working? And, at what point do you abandon it? And at what time do you just realize that maybe you just kind of got to get onto a roll? It's amazing that Chubb got up to 91 yards by the end of the game, the way it started. But again, it isn't just play calling. If you take a look at Brissett, his motion is so wide and long, and when he got stripped, I mean, you can see he's winding up in a way. And I want, I'm not going to do this on the show because it's too much fucking work. But just go on the internet, because if you don't want to take my word for it, and take a look at Josh Allen, and take a look at Patrick Mahomes, and take a look at some of the top quarterbacks and the release time. and how quickly and definitively they make a decision and they make a throw. And there's a reason why those quarterbacks are sacked less. What happened with that the Browns didn't pick up on from an offensive perspective, and it was interesting because on the halftime show I was explaining they come with the blitz. What they chose to do is they felt that in the time it took to get to Brissett would never be able to locate the one-on-one or the open receivers. That if they just blitzed, he would stare down the blitzers and just take the sack. Yeah. They started that in the second quarter and came out of the locker room doing the same thing. And there's just no, and if I'm sitting here watching it, it's like, this should be something that's like, well, this looks like how they're counteracting us and they're trying to get into the backfield. The play that we ran to get a first down, which was like a little a shuttle pass it was either to Njoku. It was either
fake
to
Hunt and then the shovel.
Yeah, and Hunt was going to be tackled for a 4-yard loss, just like he was the last game, because Stefanski loves to run the ball backwards. But again, they were coming with all kinds of blitzkrieg force, and we never made them pay. Brissett, when he went back to throw a screen pass, threw it so flat, my mother, who's, God rest her soul, has been gone since 2007, would have been able to knock that pass down. I mean...
Hey, by the way, what was the Njoku injury, did they say?
I don't even know he was injured.
I think it was an ankle.
Ankle for Njoku. Pharaoh Brown had a concussion, so you're down to one tight end.
Who did?
Pharaoh Brown has a concussion.
All right.
So yeah.
Well, he won't be...
Well,
you have one tight end running shovel passes.
Yeah, he won't be avoiding plagues, that Pharaoh, anytime in the future.
You have the 49ers trading for Christian McCaffrey. Look for us to get active and trade for a tight end.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's ridiculous, but if his ankle is injured, then it's going to be weeks and weeks. And, but that's the way it goes. Hi, Bronk, how you doing?
Moo.
Yep. And I guess, Chad, thank you for the input that Jacob Phillips is out too. So is Wilson Phillips.
Yeah.
They've been out,
They were holding on for so long. And now
I
they're
know.
Out.
One more day.
Just one more day. Oh, my God. Hey, I was wrong about this game. I thought we were going to get totally ass raped, but we got ass raped in the last couple minutes by those really horrendous calls. But I don't think we deserve to win. We're not good. The Ravens aren't good. None of these teams are going to be playing in the middle of January. Let's just talk about the Cavs. I mean, this is Leonard Pintacarnell football. This was awful game.
It was really bad. And Heston Weyerman, it was a healthy scratch. Anthony Schwartz, finally, it took this long. It's like the question.
To figure it out, yeah.
Yeah. How long does it take for an egotist to recognize that he made a mistake by drafting a certain player? And we have a definitive answer for that today.
Yeah.
Again, mistakes compound. That's the nature of things. I always used to have a saying in business. It's like, if you're going to make a mistake, make a small one. Because when you're planning something big, okay, and I mean, you put yourself in a situation now that you put $230 million in a man's pocket and said, okay, it's guaranteed come hell or high water. You would have thought that this last draft, because they didn't believe in Baker Mayfield anymore, and rightfully so. But they had to believe that if they were going to go after a quarterback one way or another, that they would have to beef up their wide receivers. They didn't do it.
Wow.
I would be remiss if I didn't do my Kevin Harlan impression.
Oh my! We have to listen to him every week too. I mean,
let's see if he's still alive, so I can't put the echo on him. It would go something like this. Seashores by the seashore. Browns down by 7. Shake your booty.
Wow.
I mean, what is it with this guy? Are his dentures loose? And then he's the last man in the stadium to know that the tight end dropped the ball in the end zone for the Ravens. And the ball's in a touchdown, Ravens. Shh. Did I say shh? Shh. I said shh. Shh. Touchdown. What? Sit. Oh, shit. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Kevin Harlan, let's make him go away real quick. But, and the thing is, the worst job is to be Gene Steratore. All right?
Because you have to cover up for all these fucking
Right.
fuckhead decisions that are fixed because you used to have the same job yourself.
You only see a little picture of him that's a still picture. He doesn't get any camera time. So it's not like he can, it's like, now we're going to Gene Steratore. And it's like, he could do something like that on camera. He could become popular. No, they have a little still of him. And it is like, so it looks like there was no movement on the Browns. What do you say, Gene? And Gene's like,
Yeah.
Hamana. Well, let's look at it again. And hamana.
He literally went yeah in the back of his silent yeah in the back of his head.
Yeah.
You could hear it.
I mean, it's like, Gene Steratore, what do you think of that? And then this would be like, he just fucking walked. It's like, I don't have to do this shit anymore.
I'm not paid enough to do this.
It's like the shitball rolling down the hill. And at the bottom of the hill, Gene Steratore. Gene, is that a shitball coming right at you again? Unbelievable.
Can you imagine the carnage if that had been Brown Stadium and those 3 calls? What would have happened? The roughing the passer and the push off and the false start. It would have been Bottlegate 5. It would have been unbelievable. Just thank God it happened in Baltimore.
Did I do something wrong, Tom? Chide me. I'm sorry.
You know what the thing that I noticed that maybe you guys did, maybe you didn't, or maybe I just made it up, was that the play calling by the Browns actually improved after Njoku and Farrell Brown and all these fuckers got injured, so that the useless part of the playbook couldn't be used at all, and he had to use other plays that worked better. Or is that just me imagining that?
Yeah. It's
not to wish ill on anyone, but Jacob Phillips, he can take his time on that injury.
We have no linebackers. When Taki, I've said this before, when Taki's your stand go-to linebacker, you're in deep shit, my friend.
Yeah. Well, and I think people are realizing now it's like, it's over. God, I mean, between that and Spiro Dudis or whatever his name is.
Bring back Brady Quinn. Let him do a few games. Make him watch this shit.
Yeah.
My favorite
Go ahead.
So I'm watching.
You can go ahead.
So I'm watching the end of the Packers-Commanders. The Commanders are up 23. It's the only game on I have locally. Shoot me. Minnesota, the Vikings are off, and we get the Packers game. The Packers do the fumble rooski at the end of the game where they start flipping it back.
Oh, God.
Aaron Rodgers throws it across the field to a wide open lineman behind the line of scrimmage. Nobody in front of him for 25 yards or 25 yards out of the end zone. The lineman catches it, starts to run, and flips it out of bounds.
He what?
He caught the lateral. Nobody within 15 yards of him, and he would have made it in the end zone. He caught the ball in the lateral, turned to start to run, like, and flipped the ball out of bounds, lost control.
Why would he flip it out of bounds?
He lost control of the football.
Bad ball security.
Oh, that would have been.
Back to Jeopardy for Aaron Rodgers. Oh, man.
I was going to say, favorite moment for me from this game was after the JOK fumble, you have Joe Woods smiling on the sideline, knowing that he has his job for just another week.
And yeah, as if he had actually done anything. They showed Joe Woods happy, and I'm thinking, fucker, you did nothing to deserve that. That was not down to your scheme.
Now, I want to correct you, Amsterdam. I mean, there's a big difference between this and see. This is what we did. This is what we did wrong. There's a big difference between those two things. I'm just pointing out, if you're a Lou Holtz fan, and this is what you heard from Notre Dame, praise Jesus. Okay. And fuck the rest of you.
Thanks for putting my name back up there, Pharaoh Bronk. He's not walking like an Egyptian now, is he?
And by the way, the other day you did an impersonation.
Yes.
Of the guy sniffing, and Joe Banner was the guy's name.
Joe Banner.
Yeah.
We were there.
I've been invoked. I smell something. Smells like another Browns loss.
Is he still alive? Because if he died, you wouldn't hear about it on the news, would you? Because he's not that important.
It wouldn't be
It wouldn't make the news, would it?
You know, John, that's what I call a concise description.
That's like English understatement, that is.
Oh, I love it. Jolly good. Pip, pip, cheerio. Tough being a Browns fan,
Have
eh?
Peter Alice read Tough Being a Browns Fan. Oh.
Okay, from the deaf.
Oh.
It's tough being a Browns fan, isn't it? All right, enough of that.
Very good.
Yeah. You know, and this, you mean, who did we bring pressure to? To Lamar Jackson or to Cade York? I'm missing this. Well, I'll tell you, the first touchdown was all inspired by the Sharman soft zone, in which he threw a sidearm looping pass that Bateman just called a fair catch for. And I don't know. I mean, the Browns had 7 men back there. It just doesn't matter, you know?
So what time does the basketball game start? Is it an earlier one?
7, I think.
Christopher Milton, thanks for listening to me, so I'll see you when I see you. I, from the bottom of my heart, always enjoyed your show. Keep doing what you do. My hometown needs you. Peace, love, and happiness. Don't go away! Oh, no, I can't lose people over this.
That's like 10% of the audience right there.
I know, Christopher. Please don't do that.
Come back.
Come back, little Sheba. Oh. This is what the Browns do. They take my friends from me.
Yeah.
I'm not even a cow. I've been totally uncaped. I'm not a cow. People abandon. You know what I am? I'm a fat guy sitting in a room in Florida.
Wow.
I want to be a cow again so bad. All right. I'm sorry, but yeah, I think people are just kind of just getting the hell out, you know?
Well, I slept through the first half. I was asleep. I didn't wake up. So
apparently, tempers flared in the Browns locker room after the game.
I was just about to read that. I just saw people.
Oh, really?
Multiple reporters are, obviously they wait until the reporters get in. multiple. I think Scott Petrak's one of them. Of course, the ever-present Mary Kay Cabbage Head. Also, screaming could be heard from the Browns locker room.
About what?
They don't go into
we
detail. They
fucking
just say,
suck.
Well, I mean, what good are these reporters?
Exactly.
Especially Mary Kay.
well, I'm sure they weren't allowed in the locker room. I mean, not.
Listen, if they don't make changes this week, it tells you everything you need to know about this franchise. I don't care how well the defense played or didn't play today. I don't care how well the special teams played or didn't play. If they don't do something, they're just completely giving up. And yes, the season is over. We all know this, but
They did ask Stefanski in the postgame about the noise and the screaming, and he said all he would say is that it's just normal football. Next question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot that goes on after a loss, but boy, you just love to hear what was said. And John is saying, I'm not far from your location. So you went through the hurricane with me then. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who knows what went on in the locker room. Bill Belichick, because he's got every locker room tapped so that he can watch it.
No, you know what you do? They get tapes, right?
They get tapes of every.
And what you
locker
hear
room.
is this mumbling in the background, right? And it's like, wait a minute, I recognize that. I can name that mumble in 3 notes. God almighty.
Yeah, we have Stefanski. He said, I didn't get a good explanation on the false start.
Well, no one did.
You know,
There wasn't one.
There wasn't one.
I mean, it's just, and the league will end up saying we were wrong.
I don't think they will. I don't think they'll bother. I don't think they'll actually bother to highlight that play.
Oh no, I think that they'll
skip
say
by
they have to rank which officials end up in the Super Bowl that are the worst ones. They can fix it more easily. But this is my impression of the face of the NFL on Monday after they make bad calls and have to report that they made a mistake. It's the famed, what I call the Ronald Reagan face. Well. It's that fucking face, you know? Nobody cares. Yeah. Nobody cares anymore.
They're not going to replay the game.
I mean, it's what you expect. It's what you come to expect. And Phil Sims said that Jacoby played well with lots of heart. Now, look, I'm not going to tell you that Jacoby Brissett is a coward. I mean, I might have said that about Deshaun Kaiser, but I would not say that about Jacoby Brissett. I would just say that he's exceedingly limited. It takes him far too long to wind up, and his throwing motion needs to be much shorter and compact, which it never has been and it never will be. And the other thing is that he just, in a blitz situation, he can't pick up the open man.
Well, he
can't find the one-on-ones. He eats the ball. He's just not.
He's a slower processor, and you can see him lock onto receivers sometimes.
Yes, yeah. I mean, there's a reason why he's a career backup. He's got good size. He tries to manage games, and that's that. But, and the thing is that if it's Deshaun Watson back there, he's still looking at Harrison Bryant, David Bell.
Yeah.
I mean, and that the hating fans are just going to be giving him all kinds of grief because they want him to fail.
We're going to be so far out of it by the time Watson has the opportunity to start.
Well, that's going to be the only interest left in the season.
It's not going to matter, isn't it?
But the thing that's interesting, and I was saying this to Roxanne, my girlfriend, as we were watching the end of the game, and I said, it used to be that this time of the season, the baseball season was long over, and it was like, God, I mean long. And I'm not the biggest baseball fan in the world, you know. I think the game is ponderous. It moves slowly, and the umpires have too much control over things, and there's a whole series of things that are wrong. The fans don't show up to the games during the year. There shouldn't be 162 of them.
Too many of them.
I mean, you know, the season goes on too long. But usually with the Guardians, well, I should say the Indians, this is the first year of the Guardians. I can't blame that name. You know, by the summertime, it was long gone, over with. And there was the only thing there was to talk about was the upcoming training camp for the Cleveland Browns. So we had this big empty spot. And that empty spot, the viewership of the program would go right down the shitter. Because nothing was happening. And quite honestly, there wasn't anything. I wasn't going to sit there and talk about the Indians losing, 2/3 of the games they played down the stretch. That wasn't going to go. And how much can you talk about it? And then it's like draft. And that's a big thing for Derek. And so I would welcome Derek on the air because he knows more about the collegiate football than I'll ever know. And then you'd have to wait for the Brown season. And that's when all the viewership would come. And usually just to be angry and to be upset. That was why more people showed up. But now I feel differently. It's like we got some young players on the Guardians who are fun to watch. There's a method to the madness. So we can't question Francona and why he's going with a station-to-station approach, stealing bases and trying to win the game with hitting to the opposite field and all that stuff. They don't have the money to land a big power hitter. It just doesn't work out that way for that franchise. But they have found an alternate way by building up their starting pitching and their bullpen and to try to play small ball. So it makes sense to me, and it was successful this year. And it's fun to watch. And the Cavaliers are the same way. It was the LeBron years, then without LeBron. It was like, oh, God. And then, LeBron came back. And it was like, and then winning a championship. And then LeBron's gone again. It's like, oh, my God, not this again. And so it's like, how could you get excited about a Cavaliers team that was clearly, trying to build from the draft? Now we finally have a team in the Cavaliers, and you just get a little taste of that last night, playing again tonight at 7 for our first home game. But we started out the season on the road against two playoff teams. You had Toronto and you had Chicago. Now, Chicago was 6th in the East last year. Say what you will, I know there's a big difference between 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6. I know that. But everything was in the favor of the Bulls. The Cavaliers were coming off a very physical loss to the Raptors and a game that was played with a lot of intensity, a game in which their starting point guard and all-star went down with an injury. We were coming into Chicago's building without Darius Garland and coming to the first home game for the Bulls, and excited crowd because Levine was back for the first time since getting hurt last year. And they get off to a 10-2 run in the beginning of the game. The place is going bonkers. And we just proceeded to level them. And without any question marks, without our point guard, because with Garland, we would have beaten the Raptors. It would have been a tough, ugly game. But he's a great fourth quarter player. Without him, we just 32-point win over them. And it's going to be interesting because, we're playing back to back. And that's what the Bulls were doing yesterday, playing back to back.
I actually saw this game last night, but I didn't see the first quarter. I saw the second, third, and fourth. So the game ended at about 3:30 in the morning. The one thing I noticed from that game was that the Bulls could not shoot and hit an open three to save their fucking lives. And it was just like the Cavs were just letting them do it, saving energy, and they'd go bounce off the rim, and then Kevin Love would have this like really long rebound, and then we'd go down and score or flip the ball inside to whoever. And Brooke Lopez was like a machine in the fourth quarter. I go,
Robin
Robert,
Lopez.
whatever Lopez, Jennifer Lopez,
Yeah, George Lopez.
exactly.
Jordan Lopez.
No, wait a minute,
Lopez.
Kevin Harlan. Want to hear it?
George Lopez.
It's Jenny on the block.
Jenny on the block.
Jenny on the
Jenny on the
block. Brilliant.
Jenny on the block.
Yeah, really.
Have they ever said that? Jenny on the block?
Oh God, please
He's
don't.
probably never blocked anything.
That's
Knowing
fine.
Austin
Teddy
Carr,
Osmond.
he would beat that thing to death.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jenny on-
Yeah,
but anyway, yeah. So the game, the Bulls, you could just see them die like the Cleveland Browns, slowly and slowly and slowly as the game went on, and then finally the stake was put in by our third unit with Neto and Jennifer Lopez and all those guys.
Teddy.
Well, you're
And Isaac, which way is the basket of Coro?
Oh, he
Guy
was
I don't know if
terrible.
you were watching
He
27
was not.
minutes.
He was out of bounds half the time.
I know. I mean, that was the most invisible 27 minutes I've ever seen in my life. Take a look at the stats on that game.
He was
I mean,
terrible.
it was his ghost. It wasn't him. Very, very strange. But
Cavs
I
are
guess
the-
my point, I wanted to finish my point, which is
Okay.
the Browns meant so much to me because what was surrounding them on the schedule, at least from a podcasting perspective, to prepare to do a show, there was nothing else going on. And so I had to drag on and on and on about the Browns. Well, now I find myself looking forward to the Cavaliers and, and looking at young players getting better. And I got to tell you something. I mean, it's amazing what comes out of the mouths of Cleveland fans. But there were people who were actually pissed off that we got Donovan Mitchell because we didn't hold on to the young bull.
Colin Sexton. Yeah.
Oh, Colin Sexton.
And Sexton has done a nice job with the Jazz. The Jazz have surprised everybody, won their first 2 games this year.
They beat my team for fuck's sake, and we're like the Cavs. We made the big trade to get Rudy Gobert. We were supposed to take our next step, and fuck, we almost lost to the Thunder, and then we lost to Utah.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is that nobody questioned Colin Sexton's ability to score a point a minute coming off the bench.
No.
But you're looking at paying a guy an excessive amount of money to do something, and he's short, and he's a defensive liability. And let's be honest, the Utah Jazz are in the sweepstakes, for Wembayana, the 7'4" kid who's 17 years old. And they've accidentally won 2 games, and the Mormons are saying, no, you're not supposed to win, for God's sakes.
But yeah, it was entertaining watching the Cavs last night. This morning, I thought it was brilliant.
Once the game got started and you started seeing some of that lob pass action and the movement without the ball and sharing the ball.
I was happy to see that we're still doing the ball movement. And Donovan Mitchell, he's pretty underrated as a playmaker. I think he showed that last night.
Oh, God, that was like the quietest 30 points and nearly triple-double or whatever you want to call it that I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he just acts so efficiently and so calmly.
Who are you referring to?
Donovan Mitchell. It's like he's like a calm non-superstar who's actually a superstar.
It was funny. People who made the argument about Colin Sexton versus Donovan Mitchell would always cite certain statistics. The best thing I got in my email was a message from my friend Ben, the founder of RealCavsFans.com.
Oh, yeah.
And I wrote to him and I said, wow. I mean, Donovan Mitchell is like way, way, way good. I mean,
he's unbelievable.
And what he wrote back was, now you understand why stats can lie. And when you see it with your eyes, it's a completely different thing. And Donovan Mitchell is a star player in the league.
Uh-huh.
And that's the thing that is unusual, that the Cavaliers will get their hands on that player with the young group that we already have.
Yeah.
This team has the capabilities of taking a step forward and being a threat.
Yeah, we
And
can play in June, man, with this team.
yeah,
We
I
can be
mean,
playing in June.
the things that I want to see about this team, I want to see Evan Mobley. He's not strong enough yet. I would have liked to have seen him put on a little more muscle during the course of the offseason. And, you know, it's great that he's shooting, 7 for 9 from the floor. He's not taking enough shots. He's not asserting himself enough defensively on rebounding. And he's getting pushed around a little. And, he needs to step up more, and he needs to play a little bit more assertively and aggressively in order for this team to max out its potential. And so that's something that I'm looking at, that I think that Evan Mobley could shoot 52% from the floor, take more shots, and give you an easy 22 and 10 a night.
Yeah.
I believe he's like Larry Nance Sr. was, except that he's got more
game offense. He's got more
right.
offense than
There's
Larry
more.
Nance.
Larry Nance Sr. was really good with a certain mid-range game, but they're working with Mobley on ball handling more and the 3-point shot as well. So we'll see. But
I mean, if you didn't know better, you wouldn't have thought that our starting point guard was hurt last night, because it didn't really show up as a problem. The point guard position, the one, didn't show as a problem last night. You wouldn't have known that if you didn't already know it.
Right. Now, John's come clean. He's not from my area. He's from upstate New York. Where in upstate New York, John? You can tell us what general area.
Probably
Buffalo?
Binghamton.
Syracuse. I was in Binghamton for about 3 years. I like upstate New York. Not in Rochester? Yes, Miss Benny? No, I'm sorry. No. Can you imagine that show on television now? It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, the Cavs are young and talented. The Browns don't play together. And that is the truth.
Yeah.
Is that if I saw one hand help the other on the Browns, I would feel much more warm and fuzzy about the team. But the fact is that the offense only gets going when the defense, lets down. And as soon as the offense gets them back in the game, the defense gives up the long drive, and so on. Kodak Town. Hey, Mr. Grassoff. All right. Hey, he's a midshipman, too. A midshipman. Yeah, good for you.
We obviously watched the Cavs last year, but Kevin Love, man, I just love what he does and adds to the team.
That's the thing
hot.
is, everybody was complaining that we had to get rid of him because we were paying him too much money. But, when all is said and done, there's something to be said about having a player who can still play limited minutes and get you a double-double and give you that outside 3-point shot that Okoro can't give the team, and that nobody else has really picked up. I mean, that's not something that Karis LeVert does well. He hit a few of them yesterday, but that's not something you want to rely on. I think that Kevin Love is a brilliant fit. He shares the ball. He rebounds the ball. Great outlet passer. Really a good 3-point shooter. He's lost some of that down low stuff, but every so often on a mismatch, if they put the wrong guy on him, he can still bull his way to the basket. He doesn't have the hops, but he gets rebounds because of positioning. He's seasoned and experienced.
Well, at some point, the Cavs should put his number up in the rafters of Progressive Field or whatever it's called, Gund Arena.
Not Gund Arena.
Rocket Morgan.
Gund Arena.
Yeah.
Why is it so dark in here? No.
Like Cleveland Arena, whatever, you know.
It was so funny. I mean, the notion of Gordon Gund ending up buying the team, and that somebody who literally couldn't watch the team play would help build a team into a better winning situation than the guy who could see them play but was a complete moron as an owner prior to Gordon Gund.
When you get a really slow show, you should just do a pantheon of Cleveland sports owners and rate them by level of awfulness.
Rate them?
Yeah, rate them. Like, would Stepien be the worst one ever, or would there be other people that would be considered more awful than Ted Stepien?
Oh, God, I guess we're starting, the quotes are coming in. There are things we need to do and not to do to win. Well, to win, you can't be on the sideline. Why don't we start with that, Bucky?
That's Pat Shermer level fucking response.
I know. I mean, if I were a reporter, I say, do you think we're stupid? And then I look at Mary Kay and I said, except her.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are
except
stupid.
her. Oh, my God. I got to say, that's more than her.
Oh,
it's her little elf,
Grove.
Hayden Grove.
Yeah, I was just about to say him.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, the media is actually worse than the team, and pretty much always has been for years.
Yeah, it's and the sad part about the game, if you look at the final stats, and then I'll let your imaginations roam, that Brickobe Gissett was 22 and 27 for 258 yards, but no touchdown passes, no interceptions. So, but he did have a big fumble.
Can we get Brooke Lopez as quarterback? Can we have him come in?
The guy who's jumping down my throat about Lamar Jackson, 9 for 16 for 120 yards. No,
Brilliant.
I'd say your mouth is full of dick. Okay, he's overrated. The fact
It's just
The Browns lost. Gus Edwards was the one that beat you. The other two touchdowns.
well, I mean, no, the front line beat us. I mean, if Gus Edwards could run through, then you know,
anyone can run through, and we've seen that.
Yep.
I was going to say, it's funny that the one game we can actually stop Mark Andrews, we still lose. Or contain him, I guess.
Yeah, the whole thing. The Browns had 113 yards to the ground, and Baltimore did hit 160. I predicted 200.
Yeah.
But the fact that Lamar Jackson really did very little in this game, and we still didn't beat them, is bad enough. And
I mean, I thought the Ravens would be much better than they were. The Ravens were shit. It's what it is.
Yep. And the fumble at the end of the game by Hill by the Ravens. There's they teach you, if you stop running and change your field of direction, you better make sure that the ball's secure in your change of direction. And Koromoa knocked the ball out, and that's a play that could have been a very significant play, but we know.
Yeah. It would have been if they'd been playing another team. They would have lost like they lost 3 other times when they've been shit in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if they were playing the Jets, the Ravens would have lost today. Yeah.
So, I don't know what else to tell you. I'd say that the
Bengals are the class of the division. We all knew this.
Well, they did just lose Jamar Chase today, so.
Did he get hurt?
What happened to him?
He had a non-contact injury.
Oh, no. Boy. Yeah, no one likes that.
No.
Was
I
it
don't
a
like
body
that,
non-contact, Pep?
He was just running a route, and then he just, I guess, grabbed his leg and was walking slowly to the sideline.
Oh,
that could be soft tissue. That could be a soft tissue if he walked off the field.
Well, hopefully not the Anne Frank injury.
No. I mean, the question is, did it happen on a cut or a break, or did it just happen on a burst?
It was just like a run. It wasn't a cut. He was just like running, I guess, sprinting straight.
Yeah, then he's got probably got a calf pull or tear That would be the likely thing that happened to him, or a hamstring.
Yeah.
That would be the likely thing, and that could be a couple of weeks for if it's bad enough. And they're going to protect him by not playing him. They're not going to Baker Mayfield the guy. Around the league, before we get out of here, I guess I should. All right, so we know that we lost.
We did, yeah.
Carolina without Baker Mayfield won.
And a blowout.
I think I'll be a Panthers fan now.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Brady loses an incredibly hot woman. He's going to give up half of his money.
Oh, what's the story with that?
And he decided that he wants to play football. All the good decisions that Tom Brady has made in his career, it seems like there's only so many good decisions, that come out of one person. And now he is the shitball rolling downhill. To lose 21-3 to the Panthers is really ugly.
Yeah, their offense. I have admittedly watched a little bit of that game in the first drive. He had Mike Evans. Wide open downfield, dropped the ball. Next drive, did it again. And the Bucks were just lifeless after that.
Yeah. Now, beating Atlanta, 35-17, you would expect Cincinnati to win that game. But the fact that, Burrow had a big game, and that's going to do his confidence some good, something he's never lacking in, put a cigar in his ass. Yeah. Dallas beating Detroit is just Detroit being Detroit, right?
Yeah.
And Jacksonville, close but no cigar.
Giants are 6-1.
The cigar that was up the ass is in the mouth of Jacksonville. I mean, the bottom line is Jacksonville's an improved team this year. The Giants, though, wow, where is that coming from? Where's that coming from?
Brian Daboll, man.
Well,
it can't last. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you
can't last.
Yeah.
They'll finish 8-9.
So, I'm just looking. Okay, I'm getting a question. Do I need Skype to actually join the site? No. If you want to be on the air, John, here's what you do. You go to the YouTube where this show is playing live, and you look at the show description, and there's a link, and it says panelists, colon, and then a link. Just click on the link, and you'll be brought right into our studio.
Yeah,
it's that simple. But you got to have, something to talk into that is,
microphone.
Right, and you really do need a headset because you'll echo and blow everybody's eardrums out if you don't. But that's all you need. And the beauty of the program is we tried to simplify this as, podcast for dummies, because I'm the guy in charge. And believe me, I was a radio guy, not a television guy. And I think we've got it down to the most simplified kind of system that we could possibly have.
Absolutely. I mean, Tony DeCaffin, I remember when it was a bit more convoluted than it is now. And
a lot of credit goes to the people at StreamYard who are and I don't talk about StreamYard much, but I've gone through so many third-party applications.
I know.
That is crazy.
Google Meets,
I remember when you went through, what was that when you were on that Ray Garcia website?
There was Blog
which
TV.
Oh, when you were with TPS Radio, remember that?
Oh, the TPS Radio
you
Network.
Download all this fucking software just to.
Yeah, I mean, and believe me, I was doing green screen stuff with DSN.
Yeah,
and there was a lot of technical stuff, and third-party application. I was using Wirecast software. I was using third-party people like DaCast. And a lot of nice people I've met through the years, but they just didn't, once YouTube allowed this kind of just click a button and go live kind of stuff, then it is up to a company like StreamYard, which I was lucky because I was always on the lookout.
Yeah.
And what they do is they take that feed that we're, and also allow us to do a live feed at the same time, not only to YouTube, but to Facebook, and also to Twitter.
Yeah.
And so the thing goes out to 3 different sources, and they allow me to follow the chat room and to be able to bring things up live on the screen so I can respond to questions and things of that nature. It's really,
you have gone through a lot of things. I mean, I remember Blog TV. I remember Make TV. You tried Zoom for like about 6 months.
Yes.
And that wasn't good enough for this program.
Google
the
Meet
amazing
was
thing
terrible. I remember that.
Yeah.
What was?
Google Meets.
Google Meet.
Yeah. And then they discontinued. It was before Meets. It was, what did they call?
Oh, yeah.
Hangouts?
Yeah, Hangouts, right. Hangouts on video, and that was good. And then they said, no more. It's now Google Meets, and it's part of a suite of products.
Yep, that was
here with your suite.
That was the one that had 100 participants that you could have all at the same time. Remember, we were trying to get as many people as we could on the show one time, like 12 people or whatever it was.
Well, at Big Lurker, when the show was audio, and we had a toll-free number for people in Northeast Ohio, but if you were in the UK, it's like, shit out of luck. Who's going to pay to call a cow from England?
I did, but, I'm a weirdo. But anyway.
Yeah, but, when it was audio only. We've used so many. There was one product we used, Blog TV. That was an Israeli-based company. And that got destroyed because somebody committed suicide live on a Blog TV video. I've never really told the story on the air, but the reason Blog TV went away was because there was a kid who was bullied, and he went on Blog TV and killed himself. And that was the end of them. So I've seen it all come and go and come and go and come and go. This is the cleanest setup that I've had. And
by far.
They've just introduced something on with a StreamYard as well, and that's editing, so you can cut up the show. So I'm saying this not for me because, again, I have an active enough life that I don't sit around doing this kind of stuff. But for somebody like Derek, who's a younger fellow, who, it can make a big difference if you're willing to really do some editing and clip out certain parts of the show that are particularly salient or particularly humorous or a point that is really an important point, and just make that a separate video. You can get, through shorter sound bites, more people to watch the program.
I don't even have time to edit anymore. That's how crazy my life is.
That's the thing. And for me, I got all day, but it's like, it becomes too much like a job. This is fun. I love doing it off the top of my head and having fun. So, this is a good program. So I'm very, very happy. And I hope that they don't sell out to somebody, and, that's that. But, I'm done. And so are the Browns, but, I'm looking at the time right now. The time is 5:03, 2 hours away from the Cavaliers start. And I'm going to be watching that one for sure. And I want to thank everybody for supporting this program, because as little as I do as far as the world of pimpage, of taking this thing and trying to advertise and promote it, 19 years I've done this, and I just stand on my record, and that's it. I went through a career of promoting radio stations and advertising, creating imaging and logos and things of that nature. I just don't want to do that the last chapters of my life.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that 705 subscribers have found their way to this channel, which for me is wonderful. We're getting, we had like 1,200 plus views for the Monday show. And we're getting 1,000, for the halftime and post-game shows of Browns games. And this is what makes this a joy for me to do, is that I like to think that there should be many voices. And I'm an old guy, but there should be, and it was great when Derek was telling me about the Browns After Dark and a whole younger group of people taking on, podcasting and finding new ways of doing it and making it interesting. And that to me is my 19 years is just trying to move the ball forward in some small way and enjoying myself while I'm doing it. I hope you all enjoy it as much as I do, and more so than the football games. So thanks a lot, Calf. Thanks a lot, Double P. Thanks a lot, Derek. Thanks a lot, Pharaoh Bronk. Joe Shipley, thanks a lot for getting out and not coming back. No.
Wow.
No, I timed him out. He could have come back. But
Wow.
when you come in and you start ripping on Cade York, and it's like, now you're
All right.
not serving a useful purpose here.
Quick question. I got a question from what's his face's dad in Texas, Steven. Anyway, when's Garland coming back? Do we know?
No, well, what I know about the injury is that the swelling is the problem right now. To get the swelling down, the initial feeling was 2 to 7 days.
Wow.
And what the Cavaliers organization has been broad about this and said it could be a few games, it could be 2 weeks, which is still a few games, but I would say somewhere in the vicinity of 4 to 6 games that he's going to miss.
Yeah, well, if he's got swelling, he can't wear a mask.
Well, that isn't the problem. The problem is the inside of his eyelid was lacerated, and that there was no corneal damage. There was nothing structural like detached retina or anything like that. This is strictly an issue of the fact that eyes are slow to heal because there's not much vascular blood flow into the area, and it's not something that he can put goggles on like you've seen other players do. His eye is closed shut still.
Wow.
So he doesn't have vision. So it's all going to have to do with once he gets the swelling down and gets his peripheral vision back, that's when he's going to be able to come out and play. But I believe in blessings in disguise, and this will allow Donovan Mitchell to get to know his teammates and get to work with them on the floor in real time. It may not be the smoothest thing that you've ever seen in your life, but by the time that Darius Garland comes back, Donovan Mitchell is going to be a whole lot more comfortable with the group of guys he's playing with. And I think in the long run, it will help JB Bickerstaff's team. It's just a shame that it happens in the beginning of the year, but we'll see how the Cavs come out tonight on back-to-back. And I think really what happened to the Bulls, they made that last charge where they got the game down to 9 points in the third quarter.
Yeah, I remember that. It was like a 10-2 run.
It emptied their tank because after that, man, it just went downhill. And that's what you're going to, this early in the season, we'll see what kind of condition the Cavaliers are in physically. And, the Cavaliers don't rely on, the Bulls really rely upon a few people, DeMar DeRozan, of course, and Zach LaVine, of course. And
why did he get kicked out of the game last night? What did DeRozan do? He got kicked out.
He pulled a Landry. Is that his name? The guy from who played up in who was the guy who played in Toronto? The guard.
Oh, Lowry.
Lowry, yeah. Whenever the game was lost, he would just get himself tossed. It's called being a pussy.
Okay, I'll go with that.
Yeah, but again, the Cavaliers, the problem is keeping your energy for 4 quarters on that first back-to-back. We'll see how their legs are. Let me go from there.
And I hope that, because we saw Mitchell, his eye got hit. I hope Mobley's not next.
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought that the Raptors played an extremely aggressive game, and I think some of it was uncalled for. and
And
uncalled,
you saw,
period.
You saw Mitchell last night. He got his eye
Got
scratched.
whacked. Got
Yeah,
whacked.
Oh
did.
yeah, hit.
Yeah. I mean, it's got a person landing the wrong way, you know. God only knows basketball is a dangerous, very treacherous game to play too, because you're up in the air and you're playing at elevation. But I'll tell you this: we still need to get something from Dean Wade. We need to get something from Isaac Okoro. We need to get something for the backup bench players in order. And the problem we have is that Donovan Mitchell, we can't overplay him minutes. The plan originally was to have Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, always one of them on the floor, and then in the pivotal points of games together on the floor. And that's not possible now, of course, and that's forcing Neto out onto the floor, and which changes the tempo and the pace and all that. We need somebody to help out, and I'm
Also
afraid
need Sadie to cut down on the fouls and just the turnovers too.
Well, turnovers, you know, when a team's playing reach and hack defense, or when they lunge at you and poke your eye out, that's the way Toronto played the whole game, was slapping at people. And I don't like that kind of defense. But obviously the officials did that night. But again, if the Cavaliers get into their tempo, it's not that the Cavaliers play a slow tempo, but you got to have consistency. Jetty Osman looks like the boy wonder one day, and then the next day it's like, well, what in the hell happened to this guy? He looks like a Ritalin child. We need to have a little bit more steady production from the people off the bench. We'll see what happens. But everybody, thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll be back again tomorrow for the Monday edition of Moohead Radio, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.
Go Cavs.